For reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shringatan Swakata Krishna,
Shringata Krishna,
Punya
Savana Kirtanaha,
Ridyantasto Bhadrani,
Ridyantasto Bhadrani,
Jimunoti Suritsatam,
Jimunoti Suritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu,
Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke,
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke,
Bhakti Naistaki,
Bhakti Naistaki.
On regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So, we have a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, which is entitled, Pure Devotional Service. And that's verse 1. Sutta Vacha
Sutta Vacha
Vyasakir iti Vachas
Vyasakir iti Vakas
Tattva Nischayama Manaha
Tattva Nischayamapana
Upadarya Matin Krishne
Upadare Krishne
Autareya Satin Vyadhat.
Aritaya Srimad.
Usually I do one word at a time, don't I? I'm a
4
little
1.
frustrated. Why don't we, I'll do that one word at a time anyway for anybody who has difficulty. We'll just do it this time and set it up. Okay. So you got the Sutta Uvacha down, I'm sure. So Vyasakir
Vyasakir
iti Vachas. Vyasakir iti Vachas.
Vyasakir iti Vakas Tattva
Nischayam
Nischayam
Atmanaha
Atmanaha
Upadarya
Upadarya Matim
Krishne
Krishne
Upadarya Matin Krishne
Upadarya Matin Krishne
Uttareya
Uttareya
It's A-U Uttareya
Uttareya
Satin Vyadhat Uttareya Satin Vyadhat.
Uttareya Satim Vaidhat
Okay, that's 2, so we'll do one more. Sutta Vacha
Sutta Uvacha
Vyasakir iti Vachas
Vyasakir iti Vachas
Tattva Nischayam Manaha
Tattva Nischayamapana
Upadarya Matin Krishne
Upadare Matin Krishne
Autareya Satin Vyadhat.
Uttareya Satim Vaidhat.
And word meanings. Sutta, I'm sorry, I'm still flustered. Anybody want to try? Sorry.
Sutta Uvacha Vyasakir iti Vakas Tattva Nischayam Atmanaha Upadeya Matim Krishne Artateya Satim Vaidhat Sutta Vacha Vyasakir iti Vakas Tattva Nischayamapana Upadeya Matim Krishne Atareya Satim Vaidhat Sutta Uvacha Vyasakir iti Vachas Tattva Nischayam Atmanaha Upadaya Matim Krishne Atareya Satim Vaidhat.
Word meanings. Sutta Vacha.
Sutta Vacha.
Sutta Goswami said.
Sutta Goswami said.
Vyasake.
Vyasake.
Of Shukadev Goswami.
Of Sukadev Goswami.
Iti.
Thus.
Vacha.
Vachaha.
Speeches. Tattva Nischayam.
Tattva Nischayam.
That which verifies the truth.
That which verifies the truth.
Atmanaha.
Atmanaha.
In the self.
In the self.
Upadharya.
Upadaya.
Just having realized.
Just having realized.
Matim,
Matim,
concentration of the mind.
concentration of the mind.
Krishna,
Krishna,
unto Lord Krishna.
unto Lord Krishna.
Autareya,
Autareya,
the son of Uttara.
Isanabhutara.
Satim,
Satim,
chaste.
chaste.
Vyadhat,
Vyaitat,
applied.
applied.
Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Shukadev Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. Please repeat. Sutta Goswami said,
Sutta Goswami said,
Maharaj Parikshit,
Maharaj Parikshit,
the son of Uttara,
the son of Uttara,
after hearing the speeches of Shukadev Goswami,
after hearing the speeches of Sukadeva Goswami,
which were all about the truth of the self,
which were all about the truth of the self,
applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna.
applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna.
Purport. The word satim is very significant. This means existing and chaste, and both imports are perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. The whole Vedic adventure is to draw one's attention entirely onto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna without any diversion, as instructed in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, which I'll just read right now. I'm seated in everyone's heart. It's kind of a long Sanskrit, so just. And from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So, continuing, fortunately, Maharaj Parikshit had already been attracted to the Lord from the very beginning of his body, in the womb of his mother. In the womb of his mother, he was struck by the Brahmastra atomic bomb released by Ashvatthama. But by the grace of the Lord, he was saved from being burnt by the fiery weapon. And since the Lord continuously concentrated, the king continuously concentrated his mind upon Lord Krishna, which made him perfectly chaste in devotional service. So by natural sequence, he was a chaste devotee of the Lord. And when he further heard from Srila Shukadev Goswami that one should worship the Lord only and no one else, even though full of all desires or desireless, his natural affection for Krishna was strengthened. We have already discussed these topics. To become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, two things are very much essential, namely having a chance to be born in the family of a devotee and having the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj had both opportunities. He was born in a family of such devotees as the Pandavas. And just to continue the dynasty of the Pandavas and show them special favor, the Lord specifically saved Maharaj Parikshit, who later on, by the arrangement of the Lord, was cursed by the boy of a Brahmana and was able to get the association of such a spiritual master as Shukadev Goswami. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that a fortunate person, by the mercy of the spiritual master and Lord Krishna, achieves the path of devotional service. This was perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. By way of being born in a family of devotees, he automatically came in touch with Krishna. And after being so contacted, he constantly remembered him. Consequently, Lord Krishna gave the king a further chance for development in devotional service by introducing him to Shukadev Goswami, a stalwart devotee of the Lord with perfect knowledge and self-realization. And by hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, he was perfectly able to concentrate his chaste mind further upon Lord Krishna as a matter of course. So, Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Offer my respectful obeisances unto him. See, I used to wing it all the time. It used to be fun because we used to never know which day. But now we all got used to having certain days, and so you're expected to be prepared. And so this is, I have to go back to how I used to be here. So satim, the word satim is very significant. This means existing and chaste. Satim means existing. Well, but both apply to Maharaj Parikshit. So he was, all his life was an existence of remembering Krishna. He wanted to see that beautiful personality that he saw. He wanted to find that personality. So all his life he was searching for that beautiful personality he found in the womb. So he was searching. He was always thinking about Krishna. So it was like his existence was like that, and he was born in the family of the Pandavas. So it was like that. It was always Krishna conscious. And then he also had he was chaste. Okay, so chaste applies also. He didn't go elsewhere looking for answers. He didn't look for anything else. Like we've all been, we're in the material world because we were unchaste. We were unchaste to Krishna. We wanted to find something else. And so we came here. And Krishna is faithful to us. It wasn't his choice, so he comes as Super Soul along with us. But we've all been unchaste to Krishna. And as we try to correct that mistake, as devotees, day by day, we are always fighting with the tendency to go elsewhere looking for something. So we're trying to learn how to be chaste to Krishna. And Krishna helps us. And Krishna makes it easy in a way. Although Maya also makes it easy to go the other way. But Krishna makes it easy because he's made all kinds of nice opportunities and attractive ways to practice remembering him. Like we have the deities. We have the deities here. We've invited them. At some point there was a ceremony. We invited Krishna to come and stay in the statues that were carved chastely, faithfully, according to scripture. And so we invited him, and then after that we have to be faithful. We always have to take care of him because he's a guest. So you can't just say, well, they're just statues. You can't ever think like that. We always have to take care of them. And it's pleasant to do it. I mean, yeah, there's stresses involved too, but they're so beautiful, and all the paraphernalia is beautiful, and it's all kind of nice, engages our senses and things that make some sense to us. And so it's easy to remain chaste to the deities. It's been made easy for us. So we can practice the kind of absolute chastity that is in the spiritual world. We can practice it now. We practice thinking about, oh, gotta get ready, gotta be on time for the deities. The deities can't be made to wait. So we practice like this. And in this practice, we experience that sweetness. It's always a little bit there. There's certain sweetness. Anybody who worships a deity, especially anybody who gets to go on an altar, is aware that that's the source, like the powerhouse for everything. And you go there and you experience that sweetness coming from the deities, and it helps you to be faithful to them. So, and it's, of course, it's way, way, way more of the same thing in the spiritual world. We get taste, even though we're not qualified yet. We're beginning qualified. We follow the rules. We can become beginning qualified. We got a spiritual master who has accepted us and is teaching us. And I mean by that both the Diksha Guru and Prabhupada, the highest Shiksha Guru that we have. And they're taking care of us in their different ways. And Prabhupada's letters are like being written daily to us. And Prabhupada's letters are, his books are like letters, what I meant to say. And they're like being written daily to us. And they're personal to us. We can read them every day and get something out of it that's meaningful for us and help us on the path and help us be chaste to Krishna and to Prabhupada. We have to be chaste to the Guru and to Krishna. So it says here, the whole Vedic adventure is to draw one's attention entirely unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna without any diversion. So this is a whole Vedic adventure. It's an adventure to start out on this path, to join the Hare Krishnas. You don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes there's really hard challenges and you really like get mad or get really discouraged or something. It's really hard challenges. But all of this is for purification. But some of it is because we have big false egos, of course, because that's what the subtle body is, the first element in the subtle body is false ego, and it's a very powerful element. Makes us feel we are these bodies and everything pertaining to that really, really important to us. It's us, it's me. And so that's a very strong thing that we have to learn how to identify it and learn how to not just be pulled around by it. I was thinking lately, hearing about book distribution, reading about it, someone was thinking how that was the way, in the city temple, my experience, and I joined the city temple, not fun, and that was, we'd send out on Synchrotron. And even though I joined in 84 and it was all about stickers, you could take small books along too in most situations. And at least in the beginning, and then they got more high pressure about money and sent us to all these events where you couldn't, but I didn't like that. But I like taking books to parking lots and with the stickers. And we would encourage each other. We would be doing it together. We all knew the taste of that experience of giving something of Lord Chaitanya's mercy to somebody. And we could identify when we were discouraged, when we'd get mad at somebody rejecting us, when these things that we would help each other understand. We learned about the false ego. We learned a lot about the false ego in ourselves, and because you had to. So it was a really good way. Even though then it kind of got just more and more, and then it went into hats and everything. I didn't like that. So, but I liked it when you could take books. But then I was addicted to the smile line and the stickers, and I didn't learn how to do straight books too well. So that was my problem. But anyway, the point is that doing this, you learn, you know that when you're mad or hurt about somebody rejecting you, that's false ego. So it helps you learn how to identify that in yourself. The false ego and the mind, you learn about the mind. I like this, I don't like that. And sometimes you're going to go on a book distribution and the mind says you don't want to. The mind comes up with all kinds of reasons why you don't want to and you really shouldn't do it. And so you have to fight that. So you learn to identify your mind. And then you go out there and you distribute a book and you feel happy, you know. So this way you learn to identify going on inside yourself, your false ego and your mind. Now we've learned in the second chapter of second canto that the super soul is in the heart, and in the purport there it says that the intelligence is the form direction of the super soul. So once we understand how, and this verse 15:15 that we read is the I'll read it again. I'm seated in everyone's heart. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And a part of the line, everything that comes from Krishna. So remembrance and forget doesn't mean I forgot my car keys. Not we say that comes from Super Soul, but we forgot that we are pure devotees of Krishna originally. We've forgotten that. We've forgotten that Krishna is our true love. And so that kind of forgetfulness and remembrance as we practice devotional service, and it comes to us in little pieces, comes back a little bit. The remembrance of the feeling of that. It takes a long time practicing before you remember who you are, which I haven't got there yet, in this who you are in the spiritual world, but that comes eventually. And so also knowledge. Knowledge, of course, is growing us by the super soul, shining the light of knowledge in the heart. So we get the words of knowledge enter our ear, and the super soul in the heart shines a light on it and makes them realize knowledge. So then we see them in the light of true spiritual knowledge. We see these knowledge bits with true spiritual knowledge because of super soul. So from him comes knowledge. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So the super soul is in the heart, and we start to understand our intelligence. We start to understand when we decide to do the right thing. Let's say, it's on the Sankirtan idea, book distribution idea. Okay, my mind doesn't want to go, but I'm going to go because I know it's a good thing. I've experienced it, and I know from the scriptures and the spiritual master and the other devotees, it's a good thing to do. And so, therefore, I'm going to go even though my mind doesn't feel good about it. My mind doesn't want to go. So you overcome your mind with your intelligence. So by this opportunity of book distribution, you learn about false ego, intelligence, and mind. There are three elements of the subtle body, and none of them are you. So then by learning what these things are and being able to identify them, it's sort of like you isolate out what the soul is. The soul is that consciousness of these three things, the consciousness that's within it. And the soul, that consciousness is like, well, my image of okay, there was a first day of school. I went to school and I observed things. Well, the observer that observed how I felt about it and all I had to go through and all the new things is the exact same observer now, and whatever happens to me in the day, I observe it. I observe my feelings, I observe what happens and everything. It's the exact same observer. The soul doesn't change. The soul is the observer inside. But the soul acts through the subtle body, and so that's what we identify with, and we think that's who we are, but gradually learn. And so book distribution is a really good way, Sankirtan is a really good way to learn about these things. But daily life in the temple, if you're like a pujari or something like that, or a cook or something, you come with challenges also. And it may not be, I would say the results are not as quickly obvious. If you surrender to your duty and do it, it's not like you get that splash of excitement when you actually distribute a book to somebody. So you don't necessarily get as immediate a realization, but it comes gradually. If we overcome these things about the challenges that we come into when we're like cooking or doing pujari service or something, we keep doing it, we overcome, we pay attention to that little feeling, I did something for Krishna, and that little feeling that you get back from the deities. Gradually you can learn about mind, intelligence, and false ego, and then by learning that you learn who you are as a soul. Learn that you are a soul, and you find that in yourself. You find, well, okay, this part is the soul. These other parts are mind, intelligence, and false ego. So as you learn these things, it really helps you make advancement. And because advancement means increasing your attraction to Krishna, but it also means decreasing your attraction to the things of this world. So attraction to things of this world are acting through the subtle body, and so therefore we start to separate these things. And so this is the Vedic adventure. So we're talking about the whole Vedic adventure. It's an adventure, and you see yourself grow. And after a while, you say, "Wow, I did learn some things," and it is kind of exciting. And then the next challenge is, "Oh no, here we go again." But that person did that to me, and that's another challenge, But we have to keep on meeting these challenges and growing. It's a Vedic adventure. And then studying Prabhupada's books and learning new things every day. It's really exciting. And if you're really doing it, it's an exciting adventure. Okay. To the lotus feet of draw one's attention entirely into the lotus feet of Lord Krishna without any diversion. And to find out gradually that maybe this might be possible, when in the beginning you think, wow, I'm thinking about all these other things, how will I ever be drawn to the lotus feet of Krishna without any diversion? Well, the diversions decrease, and you start to think, well, maybe it will be possible, because you can see that the diversions that you had before maybe are less. So, it's a taste. It could be possible. Now, let's see. Fortunately, Maharaj Krishna had already been attracted to the Lord from the very beginning of his body, in the womb of his mother. So he was a very advanced soul already. And so he was in this situation. He was born into the Pandava family, and at the time of this war, and he had to be protected by Krishna, so he got to see Krishna. So he was a very advanced soul to be in that situation. So in a way we can't compare. In a way, of course, we can compare, because we have paintings of Krishna, we have deities of Krishna, we have the writings of the pure devotee of Krishna, the verbal descriptions of Krishna. So it's attractive. So in a way, once you've tasted that, once you've been introduced to Krishna in that way, you're kind of always looking for him. Maybe not with as much strength as Madhava-priya, but you kind of wish. And even if people come here and they don't surrender, they act up and they leave, but meanwhile, while they were here, they've kind of liked chanting, they learned a few things, and you go away and you will remember Krishna. Even suppose you completely drown it, go away and dive back in and completely cover it over. It won't be gone, it will come up later. That's all. It won't be gone. It still exists in you. That experience of Krishna, that little bit that you experience. So it grows. Once you've contacted Krishna, you're guaranteed sooner or later. If you make offenses, you might take a big detour. But sooner or later, you're guaranteed to be attracted to Krishna. And so let's see. Notice the story talks about the womb of his mother. He was struck by the Brahmastra, released by Ashwatthama. But by the grace of the Lord, he was saved from being burnt. And he always concentrated on Krishna. So he was chaste in devotional service. So that's that chaste. So we try to practice being chaste. And if we catch ourselves wishing for happiness from some other source, we gradually get better at catching it and saying, that would be Maya. That would not be Krishna. So we get better at it. We keep practicing. So by natural, so he was a chaste devotee. When he further heard from Srila Shukadeva Goswami that one should worship the Lord only and no one else, even though full of all desires or desireless, his natural affection for Krishna was strengthened. So if you're always thinking about Krishna, and somebody says you should always think about Krishna, you receive encouragement and you think more about Krishna. And it gives you strength. It does. It will give you strength to hear that. And whenever somebody encourages, that's where we get the word encourage. Sometimes it takes some courage to keep moving forward. The tendency might be to get discouraged and then drop back a bit. So whenever devotees preach to each other, devotees kind of should preach to each other with sensitivity, not like hit each other over the head with some kind of nagging that you should be Krishna conscious, but pay attention to ways to encourage one another in Krishna consciousness, or remind each other of things when we need to be reminded of some principle when something's getting to us or something. Then we take courage for this Vedic adventure. We take courage to keep moving forward, and we get strengthened in it. We do better again and increase. So if you have a really good spiritual master like Shukadeva Goswami, that would really increase. But we all are, we're all representing Shukadeva Goswami to each other in some degree as we understand what Prabhupada has taught us, and we repeat it to each other. So in a way, we're like, say there's the power source, what do you call it? Where they make electricity. What's the word? Generator. Well, anyway, okay, the big
Powerhouse.
Powerhouse. Okay, is that the word? Anyway,
that's a word.
Where the company is, that puts out, and there's all these wires going out. They keep branching.
Transformers.
Yeah, all those things. So I guess we have to be like transformers or something. So we're like wires to spread out this mercy from Srila Shukadeva Goswami. And it spreads out. One wire is not the source, and it can't carry as much electricity as the whole power company can produce, but carries it anyways, and people can get light that they need. So in a way, we all have to be representing Shukadeva Goswami. We all have to be representing Krishna. We all have to be representing Srila Prabhupada by saying what little we can. We're little wires, and you can say it, and then others can get light, and we can do that for each other.
Like the grid.
Like the grid, yeah, the grid. We can be a grid. That's what it's kind of supposed to be. It's supposed to be the power grid of Christian consciousness.
Really?
Okay.
Well, we have it on tape. Madhava-priya's preaching.
You did change.
Yeah. I just hope that I don't.
She's proselytizing for the Christians.
Yeah. The power grid for Krishna consciousness. Okay, so the second paragraph, let's go a little further. Okay, we had a discussion at home about this. To become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, two things are very much essential. Namely, having a chance to be born in a family of devotees and having the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master. So the discussion was, can anybody become a pure devotee if they only have one of these? If you're not born in a family of a devotee. So can we be pure devotees, or do we have to accept that we are going to be pure devotees in this life? We have to take birth in the family of a devotee. And that was the one point I was maintaining, that Prabhupada would not have said, you can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. He would not have said, all my disciples are pure devotees. Of course, not meaning mature pure devotees, but pure in purpose, just trying to please Guru and Krishna. He would not have said that, and he would not have encouraged us to go back to Godhead in this lifetime if you had to be born in the family of a devotee. He just said, well, do a good job in this lifetime and get born in a family of a devotee. But he didn't talk like that. He talked like that. That could set you back. You could be born in a family of a devotee, and there's still time for Maya to mess you up. So it depends what your desires are. You still have free will. So you could stay even longer. So he said, get this business done now. Become a pure devotee and go back to Godhead. So we have to, but we also have to have the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master. That's probably the most essential. If you're born in the family of a pure devotee, your family will help you too. But you need to somehow have the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master. So you can't shortcut that one. So by the grace of Lord Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj had both opportunities. He was born in a family of such devotees as the Pandavas. And just to continue the dynasty of the Pandavas and show them special favor, the Lord specifically said Maharaj Parikshit, who later on by the arrangement of the Lord was cursed by the boy of a Brahmana and was able to get the association of such a spiritual master as Shukadeva Goswami. So here we have this great devotee Parikshit Maharaj and this great devotee Shukadeva Goswami. And the whole first canto is like a dual biography, three-generational dual biography that brings these two individuals together for this most important conversation that that's recorded in a book that is the very means of conquest if we study it. So this is amazing. The first canto, three spiritual generations in the case of Shukadeva Goswami, and Vyasadeva, Narada Muni and Vyasadeva Shukadeva Goswami are described. So it's each of them, there's a biographical discussion of each of them, ending with Shukadeva Goswami. And then, of course, the Pandavas. But, of course, the middle generation, in the case of the Pandavas, didn't live very long. But because Abhimanyu was killed in the war. He was very young. But he was there, and Uttara was his wife, and she figures in the story. But strongly because she ran to Krishna for help when she felt the Brahmastra coming. So there's three generations there too, producing Parikshit Maharaj, and they come together at the very end of the first canto. All of the first canto is bringing them and our understanding up to, they come together, and then in the second canto, the talking begins, the conversation begins. So it's very, very big story, a very amazing story. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita it said that a fortunate person by the mercy of the spiritual master Lord Krishna achieves the path of devotional service. So now we've got two other qualifications. So the mercy of the spiritual master and of Lord Krishna. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and somehow or other Krishna's going to get us back if we're willing. So he's going to give us all the help that we can absorb to get us back home, back to Godhead. And this was perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. By way of being born in a family of devotees, he automatically came in touch with Krishna. And after being so contacted, he constantly remembered him. Constantly, Lord Krishna gave the king a further chance for development in devotional service by introducing him to Shukadeva Goswami, a stalwart devotee of the Lord with perfect knowledge and self-realization. By hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, he is perfectly able to concentrate his chaste mind further upon Lord Krishna as a matter of course. So, I'll stop there. Any comments or questions? Yes.
I just wanted to, I thought that when you were sharing your thoughts, I just remembered when you were saying about mind and intelligence and both ego, I just remembered it's always, for me, it's always a nice point that it's actually, when we're becoming Krishna conscious, it's not like we're stopping feeling like that there is false ego in mind, but it's like we can control it. Like, for example, in nectar construction, it's that if you can control the arches, or like in Srimad Bhagavatam, when King Rahagana was instructed by Jadabharat, and it was said in Srimad Bhagavatam that Jadabharat became angry that King was asking him to carry pumpkin, but he didn't. Instead of becoming angry, he was instructing, sharing about Krishna consciousness to the king, and it was said that then he became pacified very quickly. So it's like even pure devotee, it's not like he doesn't feel it, but he can control. And second, when you were saying about that we are like cords or like wires of electric station to share Krishna consciousness, like Srimad Bhagavatam, mercy to other people, I think it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that Krishna consciousness is like electric current transmitted from one sympathetic soul to another, and I just thought it's nice, like a connection. between what Acharya said.
It gives us light. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Anybody else?
Well, in the beginning of the class you mentioned, in the beginning of the class you mentioned about being chaste to the deities. And this is, I've mentioned this before, but it needs to be heard regularly. When Prabhupada was in Los Angeles one time, Jayadurga Maharaj said to Prabhupada, since you've been here, Prabhupada, Rukmini Draupadi are looking so beautiful. And then Prabhupada said something that sort of took, threw you off balance. He never said something that you would expect. He said, yes, that's my anxiety. And they were like, and he said, my anxiety is that while I'm here, Prabhupada, let's do everything nice for Prabhupada. But then, as soon as he's gone, after some time, we start thinking, oh, our spiritual master has left us these deities to worship. What a burden. And Prabhupada said, this will happen if you're not regularly hearing and chanting and reading my books and chanting nice rounds. This is, and I was reminded of that by that very nice point you were making about chastity. It's a really good point for a spontaneous moment. A request you can prepare for.
We just go sentence by sentence.
It was very good. It was excellent. It was excellent. And so, that's something we should think about. That and it's not that like we come. There's another along that line is that. What Katya was just saying, Prabhutva, which is the feminine form of Prabhu, by the way. That's one of, there's two, Prabhuva and Prabhutva.
I thought it was Prabhuvi.
Prabhuvi, that's right, Prabhuvi, but it's also
It's
Prabhutva.
Pravi, no?
Prabhuvi.
Just Pravi.
Prabhuvi.
But there's also, I looked this up, there's also a Prabhutvi, or Prabhutva.
Okay.
So, which I prefer. So anyway, there's even a song in Hindi about that phrase. A man is saying to a woman. Like this. So, what was I saying?
You're saying I said
Oh, and you get, so what was the point?
You said that I said something.
Oh, yeah, so, but there's, these emotions come up, and it's not that all of a sudden you come to spiritual life, and everything's going to be tranquil waters, and there's that pastime with this one Mataji, and I can't remember her name, it begins with a K. She was very good Kirtaneya, and you see her in the early movies, videos of the devotees in Gujarat, the first Harinam parties with all the flower garlands, and she's chanting. Kushali, right. And then, so after some time, she, at one point she memorized the entire Sri Upanishad. Prabhupada had her, for all these guests, sing all the verses of the Sri Upanishad. A lot of devotees, we used to do that. We used to all sing together in the morning, Sri Upanishad. So, so then she went back to the West for a while, and she came back and said, Prabhupada, they're doing this and they're doing that, and everybody's talking about each other, and everybody's, all these like soap operas, and Prabhupada saying, you're looking for tranquil waters. You just want, you're going to one experience in one temple. I have to experience all of them. There's no tranquil waters here. This is the, and also the fact is we're working out our own personal, we're bouncing off each other. We all have our little idiosyncrasies, so we bounce off each other. And we have to be hard on ourselves and tolerant with others. And we definitely should make sure before we say something about someone, we should make sure we have the facts straight.
And beyond that, we should learn to like kayaking.
Kayaking?
Tranquil waters. It's going to be kayaking.
Yeah.
You just got done with one set of rapids, you got another one.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't get it's because immediately, as soon as there's some trouble, oh, that's it, I'm finished.
I mean, look forward to the next one.
Or go, you think you're going to find somewhere else that's not going to be nice? It's going to be always peaceful? No.
It might be peaceful if people are allowed to keep their false egos and their illusions,
Mhm.
and they all get together and agree on the same false egos and illusions, and they don't fight, and very
Good
nice and
point.
peaceful, but it won't get
And
them
it's,
anywhere.
Good point.
Yeah, let's all put our heads in the
So we look at
sand.
that group and we say, how come we can't be peaceful like them? We have the highest. Well, they're
Because
the
they heads in the
illusion,
sand.
and we're trying to fight our way to the truth. So, I think Hardwani started to say something.
Just that I thought that Prabhupada's use of that word chaste was really interesting because, it's not usually put in that context, but then I was thinking about it that
Mhm.
in India especially, there's so much like hodgepodge of, the Sunnavadis, the impersonalists, the Shivites, whatever worshippers that, to be chaste to the teachings, the pure teaching. And then I guess I was just going to mention about Abhimanyu, but maybe everybody knows this, but the reason, the backstory to him having part of it in the mix was that him dying so young is that when Krishna decided to come because of the plea of Lord Brahma and Bhumi, then he instructed that the demigods also appear in the family of the Vishnus to assist him. And when the moon god Chandra was approached, I guess he didn't go for some reason. He had an important job to do, but they wanted his son, and he was really attached to his son, and so at first he refused, but then they cut a deal with him. They said he doesn't have to be gone that long, and so that was Abhimanyu, the son of the moon god.
And if it wasn't, or if Abhimanyu was not killed, he would have gone back to Uttara and then just, make more babies. And so nothing special about Krishna. He would not have received this special attention, and then had this hunger to find Krishna, which prepared him for meeting with Shivadeva Goswami. So all this was required to make it really happen.
Yeah, if you want. Look at the Pandava's life. I mean,
Not peaceful.
no.
And
They're given a house and
to burn up in.
to burn up.
Yeah. Yeah. So we complain, oh, here comes another person with problems. But we all caused problems when we began. We're all going to be helping people with their problems. And the only reason if we ever have to give up on somebody living here is if they're harmful or if they just absolutely refuse to accept our help and cause disturbance that way. Otherwise, we just keep working with people. And eventually you get purified. It's a process. We all started out rough.
It's a hospital.
Yeah, but there's some people who are better off, not causing disturbances for everybody, but so we encounter that. But we take a long time to decide, and some people wonder why we take so long to decide. And really, there's a reason because we're careful. We don't want to kick anybody out wrongly, so we make sure. And so sometimes they do some damage on the way. But then you work on that and heal it. And it's always damaging each other somewhat, because we're rough sometimes. But we just have to keep working on it and understanding each other and understanding ourselves and getting purified. It's a process. Yeah.
It just reminds me, just the day before yesterday, Madhava-priya said that once he asked Prabhupada, why are there so many strange devotees? I never heard this before, almost 40 years. And,
You never heard the question, or did you never heard Prabhupada?
That he asked the question, and then Prabhupada's response was, when you said hospital, that's what Prabhupada said.
Oh, yeah.
That, it's not amazing that there's strange and sick people in the material world, but when they come to Krishna consciousness, there's also doctors and nurses who, it's the analogy, and if they follow the process, then they'll become cured. So why are there so many strange people?
That's a question I hear a lot.
Not unusual.
I say a lot, maybe sometimes.
Hospital.
We all get frustrated. Why are there so many strange devotees? But then when we admit it, we're all kind of strange from this stuff. So I guess that's the whole idea. It's not fun to give up your false ego and your idea of life and change it. It's not it's not a breeze. And it's, but one of the people here lately was so smooth about accepting it that I was suspicious, and sure enough, she wasn't really accepting it. So it's not a breeze. If anybody appears like it's a breeze, keep an eye, because it might be it's not going in, you know. So there's going to naturally be some resistance offered, some problem coming up about it. It's not an easy thing. So I remember so many problems. I think the devotees thought I joined too suddenly. I visited from across the state, and somebody said, "You're ready to move in." So I asked the temple president, and he said, "Sure, do it." And then afterwards, he was criticized a lot for telling people for telling me to move in, because I was pretty new, and I was, you know, kind of rough. But I listened. I let people help me. Cried a lot. Got mad sometimes, but kept trying, and gradually got the hang of it. Gradually got purified enough that anyway, I'm still here. Yeah.
Also, like in our day and age, that was really the only way you could be a devotee, just move in.
Yeah.
But now, because of the great expansion of congregational teaching, so many devotees come after, practicing in their homes and then coming for some sadhusanga, and gradually they're taken through the process. So it's more accommodating.
I wouldn't change my experience for anything, even though I was probably, maybe some people would wish I had changed my behavior a little sooner. But anyways, I'm not sorry that I jumped in and that I struggled, because it happened faster and I learned faster, so I'm not sorry.
It still affects you, though.
Still affects me? Well, what still affects me?
Your rashness, your Detroit experience. I mean, you're still working through things.
I was going to say these kind of things.
He's going to have to backtrack this one.
Yeah, he's got to get out of it now.
You were reading.
Yeah, but
You're reading about this. It was interesting last night reading about folks. It was actually started by devotees.
Rose Fokesh.
And it was started by a devotee's mother.
Yeah, Rose Fokesh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. And apparently when I read that somebody posted about this, and I didn't know, it's still going on strong in some places.
You should see her thing with Siddhanta. With the memories. Her story is amazing. And she tells the story about how her parents, who were, probably in the 80s or something, they wanted to go on book distribution. And they did. And they loved it.
Really?
Yeah. I said, what? How come I didn't have parents like that?
Yeah, not
She
sure.
took initiation from Giriraj Swami a couple of years ago. I don't know if she's still living. She was in her 90s then. But yeah, she's a really special.
The mother or the grandmother?
The mother.
The mother.
Rose Forcat.
Okay, Rose
Forecast. Something like forecast or forecast. Like FROKESH or something like that.
Okay.
And that was nice to start that group, Friends of Lord Krishna, where you could be outside,
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
the
I
peripheral, and still be included.
I can think of one person in particular in Detroit that was a member of that group for a long time, and I went back after like 20 years later, and I don't think she's initiated, but she's wearing a sari and coming all the time. She's devotee, so it was good. And in a way, we did something like that in our shop. We had Monday Bhagavad Gita class, but we didn't have a regular. Sometimes we had regular members, but sometimes we had new people all the time, because he was always inviting people. So we did Bhagavad Gita class every Monday. And you could come and be yourself, but you'd learn to say some verses and learn philosophy and ask some questions and learn to sing Hare Krishna like that. So yeah, these things are really, really nice. We only lost that because we went out of business, not because we quit doing it. Wouldn't have quit. So okay. God bless you, Srila Prabhupada. God bless you, Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you.